Hey guys, welcome to today's video. So my name is Tre'neice. I do all things faith-based. We talk about God on here, whatever I just feel compelled to speak about. So if you are interested, just continue watching. I have been struggling to come on here and talk to you guys. And it could really just be the enemy attacking me because I'm walking in my path, walking in the light of God, just trying to do things right. And so I've been really struggling with coming on here and just recording videos. Like I have recorded, I think maybe two videos now that I haven't posted because it just doesn't sit right with me. I feel like I was all over the place. Like I couldn't get my thoughts together. I couldn't put things in the right words. And so I do just want to apologize to you guys. Like if I ever say anything that's out of context, because that's not my intentions. But I feel better today. I have been asking God, praying to God to just help me, get out a word and just understand what I'm talking about so that I give it to you guys raw and I give it to you guys in its proper context. But anywho, so I have been going through the ringer literally for the past week. Things in my life have just been all over the place, and we're just now getting to a steady place. Well, things in my life are just now getting on a more steady ground, just on a better foundation. And so first and foremost, I want to just thank God. Like I just really want to thank God for anybody who comes across this video. I want to thank God for just blessing me, blessing my life, blessing the people that are a part of my life. Because I have been seeing firsthand God work, God do some miracles, okay? And sometimes you really just have to ride the roller coaster. You really just have to tough it out because it is so important. Okay. So that's the point of this video. We're going to talk about, or I just want to come on here and talk to you guys about trusting God even in the midst of struggles, in the midst of uncertainty, when you feel like you don't know what to do, or you feel like things are great, but it's like you have this like tugging on your heart, or just this tugging in your spirit to just like make a move, like to just do something, but you don't know what that something is. And so last night I was reading Genesis, and I always dread reading it. Like every time I have started to read Genesis, I never go through with it because it's just like, I don't know, like it's not that interesting to me. But I read it last night and I literally read 25 chapters. That means I have read halfway through Genesis in literally maybe like an hour, because it's 50 chapters in Genesis. So I read 25 chapters, y'all. And it is so good. Like, it is some good stuff. I mean, it's good stuff in the Bible, period. Okay. But I was just reading it, and it just like some of the questions I have been wondering about, like I've like just like maybe like 2 weeks ago or like a month ago, I was like really thinking to myself, like, who came up with the idea? Like, how did you know to name like a dog? Or like, how did you know to call a tree? Just like who like came up with the names, like who started that? And it was Adam. And like I never knew that. I know that probably should be like basic common knowledge, but I didn't know it. But Adam named all living things. Like that's just crazy to me. And so I also learned about how, because of Eve and Adam eating the fruit, that he cursed them. And so because Eve ate the fruit from the tree, he said you will bear children, and when you bear children, it will be painful. So that's why when we have kids, when we go into labor, we're in pain, and it's just crazy. Like, I mean, this is all like outside of the point of the video, but let me get back to the point. So again, I'm reading Genesis. I find out all these things in Genesis, and I'm like telling my husband about it because I'm just like so intrigued. Like I'm just so blown away. And I get to the part where we're talking about Lot's wife, and then I'm also getting to the part where we're talking about who Abram, who is now named Abraham, is asked to sacrifice his one and only son. And we always talk about, you always hear about these scriptures, you always see people talk about it. But until you read it for yourself, I feel like you don't really understand until you read. And so when I was reading it, y'all, like, Abraham's wife, Sarah, could not bear children. She was 100 years old when she had her son, Isaac. And God decided he wanted to test Abraham. He wanted to test him to pretty much see if he was going to be obedient, to see if he was going to like just truly follow him, like no matter what. And so God told him to sacrifice his son, Isaac, his one and only son. This is like the only child Abraham has conceived with his wife, Sarah. Like, this is like their only flesh and blood child. And so Abraham doesn't even question him. He doesn't question him. He literally grabs his things the very next day, and then he goes to, you know, obey God and go sacrifice his son. And as they're walking up the mountain, his son asked him, you know, like, we have we have everything to do the sacrifice, but we don't have the actual sacrifice. And his son has no idea that he's about to sacrifice him to God. And so when reading it, it'll make you think, like, is this really going to happen? But no. It was just a test. And so when Abraham, like, literally raised up, I don't remember what was in his hand, but raised it up to basically try to sacrifice his son, an angel came down and told him to stop. And so God eventually told Abraham, like, because you did this, like, because you were going to obey me, you know, you were going to literally give up your only son for me, I'm going to bless you. Like, he had already blessed Abraham. Like, he had already given Abraham wealth and everything because Abraham was loyal. He was obedient. He followed Christ through and through faithfully. You know, he did question God from time to time, but he was always like, you know, like just trusting in him. And so I say that to say this is in direct correlation because I'm pretty sure, like, and of course, I don't know, you know, how Abraham felt, but just imagine, like, being asked to give up the one thing that God has given you that you've wanted for years, you know, and just for it to be a test. And in times of uncertainty, and when we don't know what to do, or when, you know, God asks us to do something, and maybe we're afraid, maybe we don't know how it's going to turn out, I'm telling you to trust him, because that's literally the only way you're going to be at peace, the only way you're going to be blessed. Because when you're disobedient, he's not going to bless you. It's going to just delay your blessing. And so the longer you stay in disobedience, the longer you stay in something or continue to do something that he's told you to stop, or he told you to not do, or to not surround yourself anymore, it will literally hinder your growth. And so I just wanted to come on here and tell you guys, and I'm like speaking from firsthand experience, because God had asked me to leave my husband, y'all. And okay, let me put in context. To leave, I can't even explain it to y'all, but pretty much he asked me to let go like months prior to when I actually did. And things just were getting worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, you know, like, this is just like hurtful. Like, I don't understand. Like, you know, like, I've changed my name. Like, you know, like, I've done all these things. You know, I'm just like, I don't understand. And so we got into this big argument. And, you know, luckily we're fine now. Things are good. Praise be to God. But we had come to terms like, okay, like, we're going to take some time. Like, we're going to take some time, you know, some space, whatever. And this was maybe like a little under a week before me and him were going to get baptized. And so he wanted me to stay until after we got baptized, like, stay at home, you know, and then I would go back to my mom's and we'll take our little like break, whatever. And I said, okay. But the next day, I had this urge to just leave. Like, to leave and just not say nothing. Like, to just go. And so I did. And it was so hard, y'all. Like, I literally just, I couldn't fathom leaving, but I did. You know, like, I just was like, okay, I'm going to obey. Like, I don't really know what's going to happen. I don't know, like, how things are going to turn out. You know, I started to question, like, if my husband loved me. Like, I'm just, like, really going through the motions, y'all. But still just staying obedient, like, just still relying on God. Still, you know, just not acting on my own emotions. And so we get baptized. That's where we get baptized. And when I tell y'all, that is, like, the best decision I have ever made. Like, it's literally, like, the best. It was the best day of my life. Like, I can't even put into words the joy that comes from getting baptized, from just, like, it was such an emotional experience. Like, you saw us crying, like, we were crying, but it was like just tears of joy, like, just so much. Like, it was almost like everything just kind of washed away, like, just everything washed away. And so after that, I went back home. Like, you know, we were with each other and we spoke a little bit, and then we kind of went our separate ways. And I remember feeling like we were going to be brought back together. And obviously I didn't know when, and I didn't want to be impulsive, but so I just waited. And, you know, I was praying to God, and I'm just, like, asking God to get me through this. You know, like, I'm trusting you. Like, I know you know what's best. But all the while, like, I'm starting to understand, like, maybe why I had to wait, or just why things had to play out the way they did. And eventually, like, obviously I'm back home now, and it feels so good to be home. Like, I love being a wife. I feel like God really, like, I feel as though, like, I had to leave because I feel like if I would have stayed, something would have happened, and maybe we didn't go get baptized. You know, it could have just been so many things that would have happened if I just stayed at home and not listen and actually leave. And, you know, like, things just transform. Like, things are still changing. Like, God is still working through us. But I feel like I have passed the test. And I know there's going to be more tests. I know there's going to be more to come. But being obedient is truly your breakthrough. It is truly your testimony, because, y'all, I don't know what would have happened if I would have just ignored God and stayed home. And I'm just so grateful, because I have been wanting my husband to get baptized. Like, I have been wanting my husband to just really dive and get to know God and get to know Christ, so that he can be a better him. Like, it's not even about me. It's not about him loving me. Of course, like, those things will just happen, but I've really, like, been praying to God for it. And so for him to get baptized, it was, like, just a huge, I was just so thankful. I feel blessed. I am blessed. And again, like, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter how uncertain things may seem, if God promised you something, he will provide his promise. Like, he's not going to lie. He's not a guy who lies. Like, he will fulfill his promise to you. So it's going to be hard. It is tough, but just be obedient and just listen to God, because he's not going to steer you wrong. And because there's been times, like, just yesterday, I was thinking, like, you know, like, this is hard. Like, feeling like I should go, and I just, like, feel him telling me, like, no, like, everything's fine. Everything's going to work out. And so I believe it. Everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be fine. And you have to put your faith in God. You have to put your trust in him, because he's not going to ask you to do something that will not be in your benefit. All right, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This is all I got to say. I'm going to wrap it up. Be blessed, y'all. Stay blessed. Stay in your word. And I know things are hard right now, but you will get through this, okay? Bye.